Welcome back to Einstein Media Center, your one-stop shop for all unnecessary media dissection. Today, we are joined by singer, songwriter, instrumentalist, Robert Becker of the band Fauxtrot and his solo project, Book of Beart. Robert, how you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Can you give us a little background about who you are, the music you play, and kind of what has brought you up to this point in 2025 when it comes to your music?
I'm Robert Becker. I play in a couple different projects. So I have my own band. It's called Fauxtrot. It's like a post-hardcore progressive rock kind of band. And I also write music in my own project, my solo project. I'm more involved in the instrumental side, and I also sing in that project. And that's more like alternative, progressive. I do a lot more. I don't know if genre blending is the right word, but I because it's just me kind of doing a lot of the writing and decision making. I can do a lot more weird things that I maybe can't do in my band. So I test out some really weird ideas in that project. So those are my two projects.
So when it comes to those two projects, you said like progressive rock to some extent. What are some of the like inspirations for each of those projects?
I would say for my solo project, so like I don't have like I guess I don't have like a singular influence for my solo project because I really like to like dive into different soundscapes and genres, I guess. But the one thing that I really was inspired by, and it's funny because I don't really like this genre of music, math rock is a genre that I don't really listen to. And I guess I hate genres. It's so hard to like define them, but there's a genre like math rock that has vocals over it. And a lot of times it's very like weird, bad sounding vocals. And maybe that's not math rock. Maybe that's more Midwestern emo. I don't know, but I'm inspired by a lot of those instrumental soundscapes on that in that genre. And I actually all the songs that I've written for this EP I have coming out for my solo project is inspired very heavily by math rock, even though I really don't like math rock. So it's a challenge to I guess make something that I don't really listen to, but am inspired by, if that makes sense. So that's Book of Bear. And then Foxtrot's kind of like, I guess it's more, that's also experimental, but in like a heavier realm. Like we're inspired by like Dance Gavin Dance and Periphery and Chan, and Chan's not a super heavy band, but and they're kind of like a math rock band too, ironically. But I'd say those three bands like the biggest influences. Issues too, we'll throw that in there. Those are like the big influences on all of us with the music and that.
So I find that really interesting that maybe you're not such a big fan of math rock, but you find it inspiring and want to maybe not write in that genre, so to speak, but at least take elements of it.
Yeah.
Is that something that's new to your songwriting where you're trying to push yourself into these areas that you're not maybe a fan of, or is that something that has always been a constant for you?
I guess like I really have no business being a part of this music scene. Honestly, like I don't have any natural musical talent. Everything I know how to do, I've had to like suffer and learn the hard way. So actually, when I think about music, I'm always looking at it from the listener perspective first before the musician aspect. And I feel like it's a curse and a blessing doing music that way, because I can't relate to a lot of people that have been doing music their whole lives, because a lot of them are very like one-dimensionally thinking about things, where it's like, okay, some people are very theory oriented, where it's like, okay, what are the chords? What are we doing here? What is this? I'm very like, I started writing songs like not knowing at all how to do that. And I took like poems I would write and make them into music, but that was never the original plan. It just, I wrote a lot growing up, and then I was like, I stopped doing that. And then when I started doing music, I was like, I have this skill that I don't use. Maybe I can like do that in this realm. But to answer your question, it's something that I was kind of conscious about, because when I wanted to do a solo record, I wanted to do, I guess, weird music, like weird chords, weird structures, weird sort of writing, but also kind of like when singing over it, it kind of like makes it more accessible. So like if the instrumentation is kind of weird, the vocals will make it more digestible to be like, okay, this song isn't maybe not as weird as I initially thought because the vocals kind of straighten it out a little bit. So there's more focus on the vocals in my solo project than my band project, but I think those are like the one of the big differences, at least mix wise and sound wise, when I like am writing, because I sometimes would just write an instrumental around a vocal line that I wrote, and a lot of times with Fauxtrot, it's instrumental first, vocal fit in there, and then if we adjust, then we do whatever. So those are pretty two key differences between the two projects, I'd say.
That's really interesting to hear. And now I was listening to the Book of Beart singles today earlier, and you could definitely get that feeling. There's a lot of it almost seemed like R&B influence, which is, you know, a very, I don't want to say easily digestible in a bad way, but like in a very positive way, an easily digestible genre enjoyed by, you know, however many millions across the world. Is that maybe a genre that you're pulling from or a vibe you're going for in any respect?
100%. I'm so glad that you picked up on that because I love R&B music. I'm a bigger fan of like the older stuff, like the 90s, the early 2000s. That's the kind of stuff that I grew up on and that I really liked. I still like R&B now. It's just, in my opinion, it doesn't hit the same. I think even songwriting wise, like back then, the songwriting was so much better than now. I think in today's world with R&B, it's a lot of like, what cool things can I do with my voice? Less about the songwriting. And like, I like all the runs, all the cool stuff, but it doesn't hold as much weight. And also, I think I'm not as impressionable as I was when I was younger. So there's kind of two things going on there where it's like, I was so much like a sponge back then. So like I soaked up all these different kinds of music, and with R&B, like I still love it, but I have a hard time connecting as much with the newer stuff as I did with the old stuff.
And, you know, it's funny you say that because you talk about, and, you know, I am also like a big music nerd. I'm not very good at playing music anymore, but I did grow up playing music. So I have an attachment to like a math rock and a progressive metal. So I like all the nerd stuff. It's funny to see, I don't want to say R&B has fallen out of, you know, the mainstream, but it's not as prevalent as it was. And when you focus on that, all those technicals so much, it's like a metal these days where everything is so technical. It wards off so many people, and people forget about the connection of like just good songwriting.
It's a great point, because I think the thing that I love above all and everything that I do musically is songwriting. Like that's always number one for me. So like there's such a heavy focus on songwriting in my solo project, but even in my band, like I don't write any of the music in Fauxtrot, but even when I sit down with my guitarist, I'm like, okay, here's this 4-minute song you wrote, right? What are each of these sections? What is your vision? Like, let's go through this. Let's figure out like the math of this. And again, even with that, I'll take it a step further and say, you know, sometimes I'm like, my weird brain is like, you know, I like what you're doing here. Let's just take a weird left turn here and let's just try it. Cause I always like experimenting with songwriting because it's very easy to just kind of write an intro, verse, chorus, bridge, outro like that. And that works. It's fine. There's nothing against that. But if I'm going to spend all this time and energy writing songs, I want to do some different things sometimes just to like switch it up and feel like creative and also just tackle a challenge of like, we didn't really write a song like this. So like, how are we going to do this? How am I going to do this? It's fun that way for me as a creative.
So is that something that you often do when doing your songwriting, is maybe you'll have what could be a complete song and then you say there just needs to be another section or another point where I turn off and maybe come back towards that last chorus or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say a lot of times it's organic because it's kind of in my head, but sometimes like if we wrote like, if in my band we wrote like 7 songs and I'm like listening to a song and I'm like, this song sounds very similar to this other song. What can we do to make it feel less similar? And it's okay. I mean, if a formula works, whatever. But and I don't want to overcomplicate. I want to make this very clear. I don't want to overcomplicate something just to make it overcomplicated or to be weird. So like, it's always song first. What's best for the song? And sometimes doing that makes the song worse. And I'm like, not good. Let's keep what we had. So it's just, I think a big part of it is being flexible and being open-minded, and that has gotten me so far doing this because like I listen to so many genres of music, and like you said, R&B, you caught me. I like R&B music. It comes through in my projects here, and other people have different influences, and I want to get in all of my collaborators' heads and create a cohesion where everyone kind of shines, and maybe it's subtle or maybe it's obnoxious at some points, just like everyone kind of does a thing. And like, if it works in the song, cool. And if an idea I had doesn't work, let's cut it. Or if an idea that you had, we feel like doesn't work, let's cut it and try something else. So everyone that I work with is very open-minded and very collaborative. So it's nice. And it makes the songwriting process really fun, frustrating at times because you're like, I don't know what to do here. What the hell? This sounds weird. I hate this song now because we changed this and this, and I don't know what to do. So it's a process, but I think that's very key in songwriting for sure.
And when you're writing with Fauxtrot, it sounds like there's a very mature approach of open-mindedness there.
Mm-hmm.
Was the dynamic always like that, or did you guys have to kind of work to build this foundation now?
So I would say yes and no, kind of, because like I started this band with an old member that used to be in the band, and we kind of wrote it together on Zoom. It was during the pandemic, so we were kind of like sending ideas back and forth. We started playing together before the pandemic, but we didn't like officially bunker down and like, all right, let's actually do this. Let's send ideas. So it was very collaborative in that way. I just was really excited about writing, and I liked what he was doing, but he didn't necessarily write with me in mind. So like, I kind of just did whatever I thought sounded cool over what he wrote, and it wasn't, I don't think he was trying to do that. I think that's just kind of what happened. And the EP that we have out is that, like, I'm proud of it, I'm happy with it, but initially when we started writing that, I don't think he necessarily had me in mind, so I tried to fit to him, and which is fine. That's it's cool, and it creates a different atmosphere and sound for me to kind of go on. But the dynamic now, because Austin, our current guitarist, and he also joined during the process of creating that record, so he has a lot of his influence in those songs. But a lot of what we started with and where the meat of that is still there. But all the stuff moving forward, Austin and I are very like, we're very connected, and like, I'm going to write to your strengths and I'm going to write to your strengths. So like, we kind of have this interesting dynamic that is like 10 times better than what we had before, because it wasn't really a conversation. It was just like, here's noise and you do the thing and then cool. And it worked, but it kind of didn't. So now we're like much more unified in writing. And honestly, it's so cool because I've never had anyone really give a shit about anything that I'm doing, meaning like, hey, do you like this? Is it bad? Is it good? Like, and like, he's like, I like this, or like, I wrote this to match these influences that you have. What do you think? Okay, cool. I'm picking up on that. Let me, so it's very fun and very like, I feel like it's a safe writing place, even though we still do weird stuff. And I'm like, I don't know what to do here, but it's cool because I'm with people that I feel safe with. I feel comfortable, and I'll go there. We'll take a left turn. We'll do the weird thing, and I'll do something. I'll experiment with things I'm not comfortable with because it's fun now. Like the bulk of it is like, I know what you like, you know what I like. Let's do it, and then it's like, let's just do some weird stuff sometimes, and it's like, it's awesome. So I'm very thankful for that dynamic.
That's really nice. It's awesome. You guys have like such a supportive dynamic together. But now let's contrast that. I know you're working on your solo EP,
Yep.
I believe. So let's contrast the collaborative writing process to this solo writing process? Are you bringing other people in, or is this just all on you? And if it is, what's that like now?
So basically, for my solo project, I write all of the good. I'll take like my acoustic guitar, and I'll write a song on there, and then I'll kind of arrange it the way that I want. And then, for example, like "Finish Line" was the first song I ever wrote on guitar that I finished, and Austin actually plays lead guitar over that whole track. So I showed him like ideas that I wanted to do lead wise, and he was like, "Okay, I understand what you're doing. Let me take that and like throw my spin on it." And then so that's kind of how that song evolved. But I recorded that song with the Fauxtrot EP initially because when we first started playing shows, we didn't have enough songs in our set. So I threw in that acoustic song because our previous guitarist thought it would be a good idea if he wrote like Cannibal Corpse music for me to sing over. And I was like, what? And like all the stuff that we were writing didn't even match that. So I was like, how do we go from this to this? I was like, we're not playing that song live. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know who's going to sing over that. It's not me. So I was like, I have this solo song. Like, if you guys are cool with it, like, we'll run it. So like, there's a lot of Fauxtrot influence in that first Finish Line song. But then all the other stuff after that, so Fragments is out. You've heard it. That is honestly, I kind of wrote like majority of that. Like I wrote the guitars, the main guitar, the vocals, and like a lot of the leads too. Like Austin does a crazy awesome solo. He does like a cool lick in the beginning, and some textural stuff. But like I showed him a lead that I wrote for the chorus, and he was like, "Bro, that's the lead for the song. Like you have to do like that's awesome." And I'm like, he's a way better guitarist than me. And I'm like, if he's saying this, maybe he's onto something, but I'm not getting it because I hear him playing. I'm like, whatever he does is gonna be way better. But he was like, that's the lead. That has to be the lead. And then what you hear in the song in the chorus is the lead that I wrote. So it's just cool. And it was a cool thing for me because I'm still like doubting myself. I live with a lot of doubt of like my abilities, my strengths, whatever. So having someone who I feel is way better than me at playing and whatever, guitar especially, say that what I'm doing is in line with like the overall vision is very inspiring. And I'm inspired by him and other people that I've met in the scene. And it's just cool to have that support once again from friends that you respect. But the short version of this is, sorry, your question was the difference in the songwriting process between the two projects? Yeah, so like a lot of it is me sitting with my acoustic guitar, writing a song, and then like bouncing ideas off of Austin or our producer to be like, what do you think about this transition? What do you think about this progression? Yeah.
Nice. One of and I'm so sorry, I can't remember which song it was in, but there was one transition in one of your songs. It was probably Fragments, but it was just like this really intense moment where you're just like going up, playing like strumming chords and going up on the guitar neck. And every time I listened, it kind of struck me. I was like, oh, there's that one part again. There's that one part again. It was just kind of embodied like a lot of what you're saying is where there was like, it was a song, it was a good song, I really liked it. And then it was like, oh, there's this one thing that came out of nowhere. And it kind of just like sucked me back in, even if I was listening idly. Is that like a feeling you go for or like try to capture at all?
So that's a great observation. I think I might know where you might be talking about if it's Fragments, but the thing that I find my prog brain is like, if you're gonna do 3 choruses, make one of them different, probably the last one, and add stuff or like change how you sing it or whatever. So like if you're mentioning in Fragments, that last chorus, there's like the chorus kind of like strums up the fretboard. And then it builds up into this like back and forth thing with the other vocalists I had on that song.
Yes.
And I was told by my producer, love you, Eric, but I had to give you the full stop on your advice, which is awesome because he gives me good feedback of like, oh, I didn't think about that. Or sometimes I'm like, I want this idea. I like the insight, but I'm not doing that. So this is an example of like, he was like, you shouldn't have this many verses in the song. You should cut one or whatever. And like, this is the chorus you want to get to. So like just cut some stuff. And I was like, No. So that example, so like that at that point, the song, it was like the I guess it was the third chorus, and I wanted it to kind of, so in the song, in fragments, it starts off, I'm doing the first chorus, and then the second chorus is Brett's doing the chorus, I'm doing the backups, and then the last chorus is um it's me and him, and then it builds. So like every chorus is like a step up. So it's doing this like climbing thing, and I thought that that was cool because it's this familiar thing. So in songwriting, you want to have something that is familiar if you're trying to write a song that's memorable or people, come back to you. Not that you don't have to, if you could write a song that doesn't repeat, but typically speaking, if I'm trying to appeal to a wider audience of people who like parts and want to hear them again, I try to throw a little curveballs. So like that's a good example of like every chorus I wanted to change up just a little bit and give them something different. And the lead at the end is different of the second chorus. The lead at the end of the third chorus is different. So like just little things that obviously maybe someone like you who's like a nerd and like wants to like dial into like specifics in music, you guys might appreciate stuff like that. Maybe the average listener might go right over their head, but I'm doing this for me. This is what I want to hear in music. So like if someone likes it, cool. If they don't, that's also cool. I mean,
I really love that idea though, because like that is in I don't know, like not in like a bad way. It's just a very smart way where you are hitting like every demographic of music listener, where it's like people who just want to hear that same familiar chorus, they get it. The person who wants to hear a little bit more, they can get that if they're paying enough attention. Like to me, that's a very smart way to write. I don't want to say like a standard structured pop song, but
Sure.
what it could essentially be in that formula. That's really smart. But it's not, you have a very good understanding and grasp of songwriting, in my opinion. I know when we spoke a little bit earlier, you said you started learning instruments and singing a little bit later in life. Can you talk a little bit about what that journey was like and how it's impacted your songwriting now?
Oh man, well, if anyone's curious, I have a YouTube channel, Book of Bear. You can just search it. I filmed the first 5 or 6 years of my life doing music. So like from the first thing I ever put on there, I had no idea what I was doing. And I filmed what it's like to try to find band members, learning how to sing, learning how to write songs, all those things. Because when I wanted to actually do this seriously, I was like trying to figure out where to start, what to do, who to talk to, there's no guidance. And I was like, this sucks. Like I'm so much older than everyone else who does this typically. And I'm like, I need like some guidance to like go somewhere because I really want to do this, but I want to like save some time if possible. Didn't matter. There was no like right way to go or anything. So my process is kind of like, I mean, I've been singing like my whole life, I guess, but not seriously. Like I would sing with my mom, my sister growing up. And like, I didn't actually know how to sing fully until I started going to my voice teacher years and years and years ago. And then once I figured out like, oh, this is how you sing, it was nothing like I was doing. And I was like, oh, this sucks. So the whole process of learning how to sing was excruciating. And it still is. Like I still have my moments of struggling and whatever, but it's so much of a different world now because I know how to do it, and it's just like learning new things and like continuing to grow. But then in terms of like songwriting, getting involved in writing, playing instruments, guitar, probably even worse than singing. Every day for 2 or 3 years, I wanted to smash my guitar every single day. Again, I'm not built for this shit. So like doing this and like making these finger things and I was like, what the fuck? I don't understand this. And again, another thing of like, I thought it was this, but actually it's not what I thought. And this sucks. So like just years of like unlearning bad habits and like basically telling myself, you can't quit, you can't quit, you can't quit. But every day I was like, I hate this. And the only thing keeping me going was the fact that I wanted to actually be a musician and write music, record music. But I was like, it's so far away. So I fought it for so long to the point where here we are, and I'm still fighting it, and I've gotten somewhere. So that is the journey for me of doing something you weren't made to do, you're not supposed to do. Like, I just wanted it so badly, I didn't care.
But that is such like great inspiration because I feel like to really accomplish something in life, like you have to put aside everything else. And it's like if you want something, you can get it, but
For sure.
it's going to be grueling the entire way.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing that I've been like pondering on in my personal life is like,
Sure.
how do you know what that thing was? Like what really inspired you and you were like, this is the route for me. I need to play music.
Well, I'll say this. So when I was in high school, I played a bunch of sports growing up, but I never really connected with a singular sport. I did a bunch of shit, and I just never really like connected with it. And we moved around a lot, so that didn't make it any easier. But when I was in high school, I was gonna join the swim team as a joke with my friend. He was like, "Dude, it'd be so fun if we just like wore Speedos and like we're dickheads and just like fucked around while everyone's like super serious." And I was like, "All right, cool, yeah, let's do that." So I show up to practice or whatever, and he gets sick and he's in the hospital, and I'm like, I'm there in the Speedo, like, supposed to be laughing with my friend next to me, but he's not there, and I'm like, this isn't really funny. Like the joke's on me now because I'm just like the asshole by myself. Like I'm not here. I'm not laughing with anyone. So I did that for a year. I actually stayed on the team. My mom fought for me to be on this team. Like she got me to talk to people and try out, do all these things, and I just hated it. It was like misery. I didn't really know how to swim that well. Like I could tread water, but like again, I didn't know the mechanics to actually swimming. And then once that was introduced, I was like, oh, this sucks. I had to hold my breath and breathe like this. So the first year of that was hell. And I was like, there's no fucking way I'm going back to that. Like, this was the worst year of my life. Like, the practices were tough. I never swam in the swim meets because I wasn't good enough. And then my mom was like, you're fucking going back. And I was like, okay. So that second year, I actually applied everything that I didn't know that I learned. And then I actually started getting exponentially better. And then I started getting along with people. I started really enjoying it. And then like by my senior year, I was the captain of the swim team because I made such progress. And I was like one of the better people on the team. And I was like, who the fuck am I? I don't belong here. But I just knew how much hard work I put in. So like I applied that same mindset to music because I graduated high school, went to college. I swam in college. And then once that was over, it was over. And I was like, and then the whole time in college, I was like, I want to do music. I'm embarrassed about it. I don't know where to start. I have all these musical friends. I went to a fucking arts college, and everyone's a music major, and I'm just fucking doing psychology, which I also love. But I was like, I need to be a musician. What am I doing? And then after that, I was like, I gotta fucking do this. So honestly, the inspiration, to answer your question, was what I learned when I didn't know how to swim and then became one of like the best people on the team. I applied that to music, and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be the best at this, but if I really push myself, I could fucking do this. And whatever you want to call where I'm at, I've made it to this point with that mindset.
That is awesome, man. That is a really great story. And shout out to your mom for forcing you back onto the swim team.
Yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So with all that being said, if you were to give like one piece of advice for somebody trying to learn, whether it's singing or an instrument later in life, besides just keep grinding, what would your biggest piece of advice be?
I would say, honestly, one thing that really helped me was I recorded myself doing everything. And this is the most cringy thing to get used to. Like hearing myself recorded, just my voice talking makes me want to like peel my skin off at first. But I just got used to like, okay, just suck it up. Now I have to listen to myself sing. I can't sing. This sucks. But I filmed myself playing guitar. Like I'd play guitar for hours, just like, and I'd film myself, and then I'd listen back to the footage or watch it, and I'd be like, I like this. Let me cut this, and like, okay, cool. How did I do that? And then I learned like I don't know. I learned just what I liked of stuff that I was making, even though I didn't understand what I was doing. And then the same thing with singing. It's like I listen to myself or watch myself, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is like, because when I was learning how to sing, I would film or record all of my music lessons. So I would hear the warm ups. I would hear, okay, this is flat. Okay, this isn't right. Do this, or like there's like bodily things you do where it's like uh, um, my voice teacher calls it the drop, where it's like you drop all this air in your diaphragm, and then you can project more with ease instead of like pushing your voice, which is really bad for your throat. So like honestly, just try filming yourself. I know it's cringy and it might be really uncomfortable, but honestly, this whole process is very uncomfortable. So like it's helped me grow as a person, as a musician. And I'm actually a very introverted, like shy person. And I have grown out of that in a lot of ways. I still at my core am that, but other things besides music, but music was a huge like pushing factor of like putting myself out there, being in front of people, singing in front of strangers, which is the weirdest thing ever. Like not at a show, like before that, like when you're in a basement with a bunch of dudes making noise and you're like, I'm just gonna off the top of my head. Okay, here we go. Because when you're trying to start a band, I was like, I didn't really have a vision. I just was like, hey, I don't really want to do country, but everything else is kind of on the table. So like, let's see what happens. And just getting comfortable with like, okay, I'm just feeling this out. It's like you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I think that's a good piece of advice. And just watching, almost like football, like you watch back the plays to get, okay, so this guy wasn't ready, or this is where the play fell apart. Like that's kind of how I translated watching myself on film with singing or playing guitar to learn more about myself and to grow and understand like what I'm even doing, because I didn't have a teacher really with what the fuck to do to become a musician or start a band. Like I had a voice teacher, but that was just like, here's tips on how to sing, which is super helpful, and I have everything to thank my voice teacher for getting to this point. But that's what I would say, if that makes sense.
No, that does. And there's almost like a dual component about it that I find interesting. Like, obviously, you can go back and look at physically what you did, but how you kept saying it's so uncomfortable to watch yourself on camera. It's like it helps you ease into that just constant state of discomfort, and
Yep.
you kind of build up a little bit more thick skin. I think that's also a really
is
important
because again,
aspect.
I'm not built for being on stage in front of people singing, being the front man. Like I want to be the guy in the back who stands behind the drummer. That's what I really want to do. But I have to not lie to myself, but like I have to like kind of talk to myself and be like, I know you are still this kind of person, but like that's not all you have to be in this life. And like I'm a big proponent in pushing yourself and growing and working on yourself constantly. Like I want to be better than I was last year. I want to work on the things I sucked at. Like I want to keep growing in this life, because like that's what it's all about. I mean, it gives me something to look forward to also, and a goal to strive for. So I think too, to add to what I said before, setting short-term and small-term goals for yourself. Like, the hardest thing about being a musician, I think, is seeing what other people do and being like, oh, fuck, well, I'll never be that. I'll never be, whatever. I have those thoughts to this day. But when you take a step back and you look at what you've accomplished, you're like, oh, you know what? Actually, I've gotten really far in this. And even though XYZ person still thinks I'm trash, it's not about them. It's about me and the things that I've accomplished. And if you set your own goals, short term and long term, and you're reaching them, that's a good kind of meter to have, so you don't get lost in the noise of like, yeah, but like there's so many other better people, and like I'm not even this. It doesn't even. I talk to so many musicians in this music scene I'm a part of, and never does it ever come up how good or bad anyone is. And I guess unless someone's like so terrible, it's like hard to watch. But whatever, that's like the small occasion. Even that doesn't come up often. But if people see you putting yourself out there and like you're doing that, even if it's terrible, that is so commendable because there's so many people on this planet that would never put themselves in a vulnerable position. And again, like I said before, this whole journey for me is about getting comfortable and being uncomfortable. And I'm still working through that.
You know, to go back to one of the first things you said, like comparing yourself to others, you know, it's like the age-old comparison is the thief of joy. And like you can really only compare you to what you were saying, what you were a year ago, what you were 2 years ago. And you know, to jump to what you just ended with is like there's so few people who are willing to put themselves out there. When you see somebody put themselves out there, you're never like, what a corny loser. Like if you don't care, you're just like, oh, whatever. Or you say, wow, that's really cool. Nobody's ever like, stupid loser, I hate you. Like there's so much fear we live with that is so often just made up and to hold our own selves back.
Yeah, no, that's true. And for me personally, like I've had a lot of people tell me like, oh, you'll never be good enough, and oh, you're not really that good, and oh, whatever. And like it hurts to hear that, but it never stopped me from wanting to continue on. Sure. Do I question whether I want to do this still to this day? I do. But you know, you can't hide or lie from the fact that there has been results that have come from, you know, where I was to where I am. Like I can't deny that. So no matter what anybody says, whether they like me, they don't like me, oh, your voice sucks, or oh, I don't really like the way you play, whatever. It still hurts, but it's kind of like, yeah, but I'm not who I was, and I'm so much more what's the word? I'm so much more well informed in this world, and I can't believe it because I'm still that guy from years ago. Like I'm still kind of that person, and I don't ever want to stop, like, again, moving forward and learning, because like I want to keep getting better and keep, you know, growing, because again, when you have those moments of like my guitarist is telling me that what I wrote sick, and it's like and I'm not in a room of people that will just gas me up because they're yes men. I'm in a room of people that'll be like either, hey, give me some feedback because I haven't heard anything, or they're honest. So like I don't want to be around people that are just like, that's great, awesome, sweet, dude, you're the best. Like, no, I want, that's dog shit. You can do better than that. Or I don't really like that. Can you do something else? So that just helps me keep going on this path, because I'm here anyways, and it hasn't been easy, and it's gotten easier, but I want new challenges. I want new things to keep growing and keep the momentum going so I can find joy and fun in doing this. Because if I know everything, it's not really that fun. I feel like it's going to reach a point where it's like, yeah, I've kind of done that, you know?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, you know, one thing you keep bringing up to one extent or another is your local scene. So can you talk to me a little bit about what it was like, you know, getting into your local scene and how you've seen it grow and change over the past few years?
Yeah, so my local scene is garbage. So I play in a band from Philly, that's Fauxtrot, because I can't play in this area because I don't know what it is with the post-pandemic, a lot of the venues shut down, and like a lot of people are just really weird about like playing shows together, or because I'm not in the certain vicinity of XYZ people that I can't be a part of XYZ things, even though I'll show up at all these events, support all these local people that I've met, and I'm like, hey, like your music, I'm here to support you, awesome job, whatever. And not just because that's what I have to do. I genuinely am like, I like this music, I want to support this band, I'm gonna go out, whatever, because so it sucks. And I'm like, so the scene I'm in is like the post-hardcore progressive whatever scene, and all of my friends are like people I've met who are in bands that have toured, or like just people that I've connected with online. Like that's most of my like community in this scene. And unfortunately my scene here where I fucking live, which is the Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania, if anyone's familiar, there is a scene here, but I can't seem to get into it no matter who I talk to, no matter what I do, no matter anything. So I have to do it the hard way and force my way and do it my own way. So yeah, it's just the mentality, even of people, not of everyone, but I will say in the process of creating a band, I've met so many people that are just like, first of all, don't know what they want to do. Like the amount of people that I've met are so much better than me at everything is unlimited. Like everyone that I met, I was like, I'm the worst person in the room. This sucks, but I'm here. I'm gonna give it my best, whatever. But a lot of those people, like, they didn't have a direction, and then they were inconsistent, and they were unreliable. They didn't have any communication skills, and I'm like, what do you expect to get done? You want to do this music thing with other people? I became the fucking manager / the guy who organizes everything, the guy who films practice, and I'm like, okay, we did this, the jam. What do you guys like? Okay, I'll cut this. This is the song we're gonna work on. Everyone cool with that? Like, I was like trying to focus a very chaotic environment into something because everyone who I played with was like, I want to play shows, I want to record music, I want to do this, but all of their actions was like, I just want to jam, and I'm like, you're not making any sense. Like, I'm trying to help everyone do the thing that we're trying to do. And it's not like this is just my thought. It's like, are you cool with this? Are you cool with this? Everyone's cool? Okay, cool. Everyone know what's going on? And then it's still like, oh yeah, I didn't do that. Or oh yeah, I'm just not gonna show up for 3 weeks. Like, it was just so stupid. And I'm like, I couldn't even play guitar back then, or else I would have done it. But I was so focused on singing, I was like, I need to focus on one thing or I'm gonna pull my hair out. So like, yeah, the local scene thing, it's been really shitty, honestly. And there are people who have secretly made burner YouTube accounts to comment shitty things on my YouTube and like my Instagram, even messaging people who I'm friends with, being like, hey, if you want to listen to real music, listen to this, not Book of Bear. And I didn't even have any music out then. But I've had this name for so long that like people have been trying to pull the rug out from under me and talk shit on me, and I'm like, listen, like, I just want to do music. Like, if you had a problem or whatever, we could talk about this. Like, I'm a reasonable guy. Not that I'm always right or I don't make mistakes, but I try to be reasonable. Like, a lot of these people I don't know, so it's like, what are you looking for? What are you looking for? All right, how do we do this? So, I don't know if I answered your question, but that has been my experience.
I think that was a good enough answer. So, but okay, so Lehigh Valley, not so much, but
Yeah.
you go out to Philadelphia. So what's it like playing out in Philadelphia then?
So, ironically, like, I met every person that I've played with in a band through like I call it dating apps for musicians. So we met on I met Austin through Bandmix. I met my old drummer on Bandmix. I met Derek on Bandmix, who's our current drummer in Fauxtrot. And then the guy who plays drums on my solo record, I met him through someone in the Lehigh Valley, someone who's actually decent in the Lehigh Valley, who was like, hey, I'm looking for a drummer for Fauxtrot because our drummer left. We need to fill in whatever. We're playing shows. And we got along so well that he never came into the project being like, you're going to be the drummer. He was just to fill in. And then we found Derek, but then he was like, I really like these guys. Fuck, I should have joined this band. So I felt guilty. And I was like, do you want to play drums on my solo record? And he was like, yes, I would love to do that. So he's on everything except Finish Line. He wrote drums on, but so I met all of the people that I play with basically online. Our old bass player was my guitarist cousin. So they're from Philly originally. He lives out in Jersey now. He moved not that long ago, but the only person who actually lives in Philly is our old bass player. And me and Derek live in the Lehigh Valley. He lives 20 minutes from me. We never met organically, ironically. We were both from the same area, but we met online. And then so the Philly scene is better. It's more supportive for sure. It's still just kind of weird. I feel like post-pandemic with musicians and venues and stuff, it's just a weird landscape where it seems like everything is out to eat musicians and bands. Like, there's almost like no redeeming qualities left to be in a band besides you just love it. And that's the unfortunate truth, I feel like. But yeah, it's like it's hard, man. Even out in Philly, it's still difficult, I'd say. Still.
Damn. Well, I appreciate that you're still grinding away and keeping at it day by day with everything. I know I'm sure that must be discouraging at many times.
Yeah, it is, but so this is another piece of advice I'll give any people who need some guidance. Not that I'm an expert, but just based on my travels and my experiences. The huge factor in doing music with other people. If you can't be friends, genuinely, if you can't be friends with the people you play with, it's not going to work long term, and I can guarantee you that. And I'm not in the camp of forcing a friendship either. If it doesn't work, if we can't be friends, it's not going to work. You want to be in a band for years, you have to be friends with the people that you play with, and that means having hard conversations. That means getting uncomfortable. That means butting heads, doing whatever. But if you genuinely respect each other, you genuinely, want to collaborate and work with each other. If you can do that and you can be friends with those people, you could probably do it forever. No matter what scale you want to go, whatever, you want to be the biggest band, you just want to do it for fun, you want to be somewhere in the middle. Being friends with the people that you play with is huge. And I know a lot of people throw friends around like it's just whatever. I love the people that I play with, genuinely, because they are like family to me at this point, and I don't throw that term around very loosely either. And again, it's just like time and conversations and collaborating and just a mutual respect for one another. That is huge.
I really like that because I think, whether it's in a band or another creative setting or just in general, I feel like being friends with somebody, it's so much more than just getting along. It is having those tough conversations, but respectfully, having the respect for another person to have that kind of tough conversation.
Sure.
I think that's like a really important piece of life that a lot of people are missing, and that the importance of, I guess, like honest communication with somebody you care about.
Yeah. And again, it's a lot of it is learning about other people so that you can kind of meet them where they're at. And then given that, you can still be honest and be like, hey, you want to do this, but you're doing this and that's conflicting with this. So how are we gonna I'm all about problem solving. So like when things arrive, because my whole musical journey has been problem solving. So it's just kind of like fully trying to understand someone and being understanding, but also realistic with like, okay, so we're kind of misaligned here, because you could be in a band with 5 people and 4 people you play with said they want to go on tour, and then you set it up, you do all the things to go on tour, and they're all like, we don't want to go on tour. And it's like, what do you mean? We got the van, we're doing the thing, I booked the shows. Oh, like it's too I got cold feet, I'm scared now. It's like, you have to understand too, what are people looking for? You might join a band, someone doesn't want to go on tour, but everyone else in the band does, and you never had a conversation. So it's like, oh shit, like this guy doesn't want to go on tour, and that's all we do. This isn't really going to work.
Yeah.
So it's understanding how people tick, what they're looking for, and then you can kind of like mold, as a group or individually, like, okay, this is what I want. What are you looking for? Is this feasible? Can we do this? Like, you have to talk about everything. It's like dating. I consider being in a band like being in a marriage. Like, you got to get close and you got to talk about stuff. And if you don't, your marriage isn't going to be that great. It's not going to last that long.
100%. It's so true. I mean, like a romantic relationship truly isn't that different than a really, really close friendship, but
Sure.
a familial relationship. That is, you're 100% spot on there. I got like 1 or 2 more questions.
Yeah.
My first question being, what's the rollout going to be looking like for this new EP? Are we going to be seeing any new songs coming out soon? I know Fragments like pretty much just came out, but like, what's this rollout going to be like?
So, pretty much, I'm doing like a song every 3 months or so. So like the whole year, getting a little bit of the EP. So I have a couple more songs in the works. I have a song coming out. What are we in July? Next month. Already. Jesus, like just flies by. And then the EP will be out at the end of the year. Yeah, and that's kind of like the journey of it. And I guess there'll be like different things coming out along with that, some things that people might not expect, or just things that I would like to see from a band that I'm doing. Music videos aren't very necessary anymore, but I still like just like crafting a song. I like to craft an aesthetic that can go with it. So like the Fragments music video, I had a big hand in like developing the vibe and like the general idea. Obviously the videographer took that and like it brought it to the next level, but I was kind of like over his shoulder, like, ooh, I like this shot. Ooh, let's do this shot. Oh, can we incorporate this because the song is saying this at this part? So that was really fun, and I like that. But yeah, there'll be like different aesthetic things and visual things, and some physical, tangible things that I'll be potentially giving away to people. Just I don't know. I want to. I've spent so much time writing these songs and working on these songs. Like I started writing these songs in 2019, and they're finally coming out now. They got a little derailed because of Fauxtrot, and now the Fauxtrot's like writing new stuff, and this stuff is done. I can now focus on this a little bit more. So yeah, it's a little bit coming out throughout the year.
Nice. And then Foxtrot writing stuff now, no release anytime soon.
So Fauxtrot also has something coming out kind of soon-ish. We have a bunch of stuff that we are filming / we already filmed, and we have a new song done, and it's definitely I'm gonna say this because I feel this way, but well, I hate this because everyone says this, but based on what I said earlier in this interview about understanding like what people's strengths are in writing in that world, and then moving forward and putting out a song with the actual lineup of Fauxtrot right now, minus our bass player because he wrote bass in that song. It's that. So this is the first song Derek has played drums on. This is the first song that Austin has fully crafted 100%, just him, his brain, and me. So all of us collaborate. It's the first thing. So it's really exciting, and I think it's the best thing we've done. So that'll be at some point this year, probably fall, maybe late summer, early fall. Yeah,
I'll keep my eyes peeled.
Yeah,
nice, awesome. Well, I'm looking. I've been really enjoying the tracks you've put out so far. I'm really looking forward to new Foxtrot. I think that's really exciting. This is like really the first real all collaborative stuff. That's really awesome.
Mm-hmm. I have a question for you, actually. So now that you have kind of heard both projects, because there's some debate on there, like some people are like, I don't really get the difference. Like when you hear the projects, what do you think the main differences are from a listener perspective between the two projects? What do you get from it? I'm curious.
For me, I think your solo work is it. Like I called it out earlier. It's so much more R&B influenced, rather than like, prog rock or post-hardcore. To me, and I hate to make comparisons because I hate to like reduce people down.
No, it's helpful.
But like when I listen to your solo work, I'm like, I could feel like a lot of like Kurt Travis solo work, and how I don't think of Kurt Travis solo work when I listen to Foxtrot. To me, that's a band, and that's like something different. So
okay,
that was kind of what to be fair, there are similarities, but to me, I'm like, it's not the same. It's different music.
Now, the thing that I will challenge you on is that when the full EP comes out, then you get the full comparison. You're only getting like half of it now, because like I said, Finish Line is the closest thing to Foxtrot, and then it kind of deviates more as we go, and it's going to deviate even more. So I'm curious, as the other stuff comes out, how you'll feel when you actually sit side by side with both of those releases.
I am too. I'm very much looking forward to it because I really did like Finish Line, but I really liked Fragments too, and I like the Fauxtrot EP a lot. But I it's also interesting to know like a lot of these songs were written over a long period of time,
Yeah.
and the writing process for Foxtrot has changed some since the EP. So it's like,
Yep.
when that comes out, that's going to be a whole new thing too.
Yeah, you're gonna really, how I describe it, at least in my brain, you're gonna really see this happening
Yeah,
to them,
yeah,
and it's really cool because like you're gonna really hear the difference between my style and Austin's style and like the two projects, because I don't even have like I don't have a vision in mind for my solo project. Like, it just is whatever it is. Like I don't set out to be really anything. I just like certain progressions in the guitar and I sing over it. And then if I can get that as solid as possible, then I add all the cool stuff on top of that. And then like Austin's like all over the place with his influences. So it's so fun. And I like to flex different parts of my brain in projects. So that's the fun part too. It's like I'm in a completely different headspace when I'm writing with my acoustic guitar to do my solo stuff versus Austin sent me this crazy instrumental and I had to sing over it. Like it's a completely different thing. And it's a cool challenge for me because I don't ever want the two projects to be so similar where it's like, why is this not just one thing? So I think again, as more stuff comes out, you're going to start to fully like materialize those differences, I think.
and I think it's fair to expect them as a listener to deviate more because not that you're new to this, but like there maybe isn't as much. We're not privy as a listener to all the music you get to hear from both projects, so you have so much different of a like vision of what the two projects are. Us as listeners, like, yeah, maybe like Finish Line, you could call that a Foxtrot song, but I would imagine as both projects mature, you as a solo artist, the band as a band, like there will be more noticeable differences.
Yeah, I think even at the Finish Line core, I think it's so different, but because of like the flair we put on it, I could see the comparisons. And I don't know, I just love music and I'm happy that anyone likes anything. And the way I put it especially is like, if you don't like Foxtrot because it's too busy, too crazy, I feel like more people might like my solo stuff because it's less harder to follow. And also, if people like my solo stuff, they also might like my. So it's just like I like to marry the thing of like, if I can get people on my team here, maybe I can throw them over here, but maybe they just exist here. I don't know. I don't care. It's just the fact that anyone likes anything I do. That's the goal.
Hell yeah, I love that. Well, like I said, I've really been enjoying the solo stuff. I enjoyed the Foxtrot EP. I'm looking forward to everything from you. I really am. Genuinely. But my last question, I always like to end these things asking about the local delicacy of where the artist is living. So Lehigh Valley, if I were to come there, what is the one meal or restaurant or whatever it is that I would have to eat before I leave?
It's interesting. I love food too. I would say there's a place called Notch. It's like a couple towns over from me. It's like an Asian fusion restaurant, and there's so many good things on the menu. I'm trying to think. They'll make you like any kind of drink you want. Like they just invent drinks. Like they have on the menu like these very crazy like drinks I've never heard of, and I'm like, that's really cool. But then they're like, yeah, but we can make you whatever you want too, and I'm like, oh, hold on. So it's just like a really cool palette. Like it's like rice and veggies and okay. Rice and veggies and eggs and all this stuff, and it's just like they add these spices and like they prepare it in a specific way that's very niche to them. It's very Asian influenced. Yeah, I would say go there. It's a little expensive, but like you get the portions like are nuts too. That's another thing. If I'm gonna pay for food, I want to eat this for days, and they
Yeah.
don't fuck around in that department. So Notch I think it's in Allentown. Is
Oh, okay. Nice, nice. Well, that was really all my questions. Do you have anything
Sweet.
else to say or shill to the audience before I stop recording?
I would just say thank you to anyone who has found any music that I'm a part of. Thank you guys for listening, and thank you guys for being patient. I think I said that I was gonna have new music out last year, and I didn't. But this year, a lot of new music with Fauxtrot and my solo project. So if you care at all about me and have been following me, thank you for sticking around.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining. This was a ton of fun, so thank you so much.
Thank you for your time, man. It was nice chatting with you.
Hey, just wanted to say a quick thank you to Robert for coming and chatting with me. Sorry, I'm a little bit sick, but um, he is such a nice dude, such a smart guy. I really admire his passion for wanting to do music and songwriting. Like, that's kind of just what this entire show is about, just being passionate about art and being, so willing to give yourself over to um, the entirety of what it takes. And he's just so dedicated. I really think he's so talented. Like, getting to hear about his like process for writing songs and how to make a song like more interesting or whatever. To me, he's such a guy to look out for. I'm really excited for his new EP. Please, go follow him on Instagram and everything. Go follow Fauxtrot. Yeah, shout out to Robert. Thank you so much for coming on. You're the man. You're the man. And yeah, I mean, that's really it. Hey, if you made it this far, thank you. Like, subscribe, all that. And if you are a musician, hit me up. I would love to interview you. Yeah, let me know. He's being